All right, guys. Thanks for joining me here. It's Melissa talking about all things that have to do with motherhood. So, I want to talk today about looking at your finances. I want to talk about that and I want to talk about medical. So, my hair is a little messy, but um, so I just met with a financial advisor at a local restaurant, walked back home in the cold, which I like to do. I like to challenge myself. But I just met with a financial advisor. And one of the things we talked about is what is your relationship like with money? And I had said mine tends to be a love hate relationship. I like having money, right? But I also don't like how money can also be one of your worst enemies if you don't use it as a tool. So we talked about different things. I talked about my back history, how I was raised, how I have I have relatives that are very rich. I grew up on a farm, not on a farm, but I grew up with my grandparents owning a farm, and there's money there. There's money from my great aunt Linda, who has money. There's just, I grew up in that environment. And when I became a Christian, my father disowned me. So I talk about how that was a broken relationship. And then I talk about how on the one side there was money, right? And but yet on the other side there was a lot of poverty, and how that has, influenced my view of money. Also talking about my husband's family and how they had viewed money and the frugality there, but yet not investing your money in stocks and stuff. So just a lot of different stuff we talked about. So we have a plan going forward, and that's what you want. You want point A to point B. You know where you're going, but how are you going to get there? And what are the checks you have in place to make sure you're getting there? So we talked about that. And ladies, something that's important. We I was just in a business meeting where we had a special guest, a doctor, talking about um, the medical side of life, the doctors, the insurances, and how a lot of people think they have insurance, but they don't. They are underinsured. And a lot of times people will go bankrupt over medical. So, one of the first things I did when I became a mom, and this was a big decision for me, is I had already gone to hairdressing school. I went there and I was going to have a career in hair. Um, then lo and behold, I was pregnant and we didn't think I could get pregnant. So I didn't think I could. We had tried, and I thought, okay, what am I supposed to do with my life? I'll go get a career. So when I had my firstborn son, it made more sense to use the Medicaid. And this is what I shared today in the meeting. I said I didn't pay really anything to have my five sons. Instead of having a career, it was cheaper for me to take Medicaid. And this doctor was talking about how he sees a lot of this. And then when I was talking to this financial advisor about this, same thing. A lot of people get stuck in how can I use the system, which is good for to a point, right? You pay taxes into this, so use it. How can I use the system so that, a lot of people are on Medicaid so they don't have to go bankrupt. But yeah, a lot of people don't push through and say, okay, Medicaid was good for a time. How can I push through? What is that $20,000 cushion that will get me to better places in life? So we talked about that, and I'm very bold. I'm very bold. Not to ask a political question, as some may have thought it was, but I did say, how are you holding Planned Parenthood accountable? Because how do we do that? Because they are taking our taxes to abort babies. And we know Cecile Richards just died. I think she was 67. She headed Planned Parenthood. She was pro abortion, I believe, until the day she died. So I'll be talking about some of the laws she has in effect. But how do we hold them responsible? Because we were talking about holding employers, holding people responsible, being transparent. Hospitals, and a lot of people don't know this, but there is a transparency bill you can ask them for. It's not enforced, but rather than having a surprise when you go to the hospital, you can ask them, because a lot of us go to the hospital and we're like, what? Why is this bill so high? Right? So you can actually also go to one hospital, pay $40,000 for an MRI, have the same surgeon go to another hospital and pay $450,000. So it depends on the hospital, and a lot of people don't know this either. And also, listening to this doctor who's going up against the system was so interesting to me, because in his experience, he was doing an internship, he said, and it really bothered him to hear a doctor go up to him and say, hey, kind of elbow him. We haven't really done really good this month, so we need more MRIs coming in. We need more of those, and we need more, I think, radiologist stuff coming in. And he said to his friend, what if someone doesn't need an MRI? And he's like, you need to find a way that they do need an MRI. And, this is pretty bold for a doctor to be talking about this, but he's going up against the grain because he sees the corruptness in the insurance industry. We know that a guy from United Health just got killed, right? But that was not justified. But we do see the insurance companies asking way too much money from us. We see Medicaid, not being transparent. People can like get a $10 medication at the pharmacies that they put up to 100. The, insurance agency or whatever can get 65 bucks out of it to pocket, etc. So we see all of this corruptness, and we want transparency, and we want Planned Parenthood probably in the legislation held accountable for what they do with the money, right? Because they don't need that much money just for a mammogram, right? So I thought this was interesting. Also, watching Trump talk about AI, and that is going to change healthcare. Um, so Star Gaze, is it Star something? He talked about. So we want to see transparency. I also was talking to somebody today, not only taking like this person's name to help more moms have primary care, but also talking to somebody about help with building my app that I want to build. And they do have a class for it, and I do need to talk to her about how far along I've come in my idea of building this app that I want to do. So, guys, connect with other people. Financial advisor was telling me in James 1:8, it's very important not to be double minded, to be single minded, right? So, this is a financial advisor from a biblical perspective, to simplify things more so that you can do it better. And I thought that was that was really good advice. Don't spread yourself out too far, which I'm trying not to. I only have a couple business networking that I do, a couple, but yeah, so just have that plan. Watch your medical bills, guys. I mean, you can also go to a hospital and say, hey, we need some financial help with this. And many times when my husband was hurt and wasn't covered by insurance, I went to the hospital and said, hey, we need help with this. And we always qualified, always. So a lot of families, though, get stuck in that because they need the system. They can't get out of it. And you don't want to get stuck in a system. Even food stamps, hands up, not, staying in it. So that's what I got for now. And I'll be sharing some more stuff as I go along. Okay. Thanks for joining me, guys.